You might have family, you might have kids, you might have a job, you might have a lot of compromises that unfortunately you just won't have the time to try those things and to fail, because if you fail you might lose the house, you might lose, I don't know what might happen.
Mm,
So that's
yeah.
really 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 beautiful that you're encouraging her from a young age to take all of those chances. Yeah.
But to get back to what you were saying about the two lives, because this is the next part of it, right? Failing can be devastating. But what is the thing that people say on their deathbed that they regret not doing? It's not the things they did. It's the things, the choices that they really wanted to make, the risks they wanted to take that they didn't. Because as you said, we get through that first part of our lives, and then we often have just a timing. I think it's a neurodevelopmental timing because the way that our brain is developing. In our 30s, maybe 40s, we finally recognize, oops, this is my life. And I've been directing my energy externally, trying to win these awards, trying to win approval and prove my wholeness, when really I just needed to look within and find what really nourishes me so that then I can seek activities and groups of people where I belong and where I'm in alignment with my values and goals. And there I can make the truly grand impact that I really wish to, that I really can't if I'm just following along someone else's dreams for me or wishes for me, but they're not mine.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Do you think that's something that they could teach us in school? Because that's not something that like they teach us directly. Maybe a parent or
Mm.
a grandparent. But so do you think that's something that's could be taught, or do you think that's something
Mm.
that we all need to go through in life in order to
Yeah.
understand? What do you think?
Yes, and yes. I think you're right on both, right? Because it's better taught, excuse me, it's better caught than taught, is
Yeah.
the saying, right? You catch it, it's modeled for you. And that's why I think, I would like at some point in time in my career, not at this very moment in time, but potentially even in the near future, I would like to be more active in a more public health standpoint and advocate for things like education about mindfulness and neurodevelopmental appropriateness of activities in our school systems, because we really miss so many opportunities to teach children about really fundamental concepts when they're young. And then all of this, honestly, trauma happens to them because this wasn't modeled for them necessarily at home. It wasn't modeled at school, and the curriculum was so focused on mathematics and science and English and gymnasium and all of these things that are so important and wonderful opportunities to give to kids. But then over time it shifted to, well, what's the metric? Is it that they're learning enough and that they're just learning how to learn, or is it that they're making this many points on this test? And now it's not just the school test, now it's the statewide test and a nationwide test. And so we're focusing on all these external metrics, and we're really not necessarily doing a great job of focusing on our kids learning these life skills. And if a child doesn't learn about bodily autonomy, if they don't learn about what freedom really means, and that it's not just, the freedoms we think about, there's a lot of conversation about certain freedoms in the United States. Fundamentally, it's freedom to be you, right? And sometimes we get caught in these other, again, external relationship discussions about freedom, but it's freedom to be you. So even though we are so focused, rightly so, on the need for freedom, which is truly a human right that is necessary for not only our happiness, but for us to be healthy, because when we're not free, you will see your health is just going to deteriorate, your neurological, psychological body. You are going to see consequences of that over time. It's very necessary. But like you were talking about, are we taking the opportunity to really explain that to young people so that when they go to college and they're at that party and someone offers them something they don't want, they have the internal response, you know what, that doesn't align with my values, so I'm not going to do it. Instead of what I think is a very common response of, well, I want them to like me, so I better go along. I better lose this really important part of myself, of my values and beliefs, to fit into their box of what I should be.
Yeah, yeah. Social pressure, you want to fit in, like that's something very hard to go against it, right? Especially at a young age, like because your friends and your social circle mean so much. I remember as a teen, like how my friends perceived me was my world, was my life. I had to be this cool guy, the skater boy who liked music, rock and roll, and had like the I had like black polish, nail polish, and I thought it was like the coolest kid ever. And nowadays, I just, of course, I just look back and, gosh, why did I care so much about what
Mm.
other people thought about me? It's like such a waste of energy.
Mm.
But I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah, we've all been there.
we all been there. We all been
Yep.
there. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the freedom part, and you mentioned that the lack of freedom